It's so great, bro. The podcast, the audiobooks I listen, whether philosophy or psychology, and you start to realize like we have the same sort of setup inside, like in terms of DNA and stuff. We're like the same as the hunter gatherers, you know, like 300,000 years ago, or whenever it is. We haven't really changed because the DNA takes millions of years to change. We like, you know, you saw my poster. We're like a little shit in the history of the world. We're like this little thing. So we really didn't evolve. So we still have these things like systems to defend ourselves, so we don't feel bad, or so one of these things is obviously, like you're saying, like when you're gonna do something different or change or something that you don't know, your brain starts to create like blocks, or like, no, maybe these, or situations that don't even exist. And it's quite similar as if you're in the jungle and you hear something on the side and you don't know what it is, and you start to think things.
Yeah, it's for sure.
And yeah, I don't know, it's just when you, that's why I think it's important to like learn from these things. So we understand, like we're talking about it now, so we're aware that I am like this, you are like that, in your own way. But it's important to like understand this and not do the same mistake. No, it's not really a mistake, but just not do the same thing all the time. Like imagine you're scared to hire someone, maybe I don't have enough money, or I don't know, maybe it's gonna mess up. Then you do it. Maybe not even the first one. At the third time, you get it right, but nothing was as bad as what your head was making. So for the next time, whenever you have like another challenge, like learn from that and don't be so like blocked with your mind.
I really think that something that I kind of learned to do is that when you have, obviously when once you get older a little bit, once you start building up something, whatever it is, it's a career or it's like money or if it's a family, whatever it is. I think that especially if you're going to do some kind of risk, I think you can control it in a little bit smart. I'm learning to do it in a little bit smarter way. Instead of like, let's look at the business. Okay, let's say we're going to grow. Okay, or like hire someone. I think that what I learned to do is that to make take a small piece of the business and make a risk with that, rather than just like, let's make a huge change with everything now and see how it works out, and hopefully it's going to go good. So what I learned to do is like, okay, let's take a small percentage, like some of my students, for example, now, and make a test lesson and see if it works. So I think you can take risks, but in a smart way, so it doesn't affect everyone. You know, same thing with money. If you're going to learn about investments, let's not invest everything all the time. Let's take a small percentage and try and learn from that, make mistakes and learn, and then you can actually take a bigger one later when you learn. I think it's just to get over the beginner kind of mistakes, because when you learn about a new subject, whatever it is, like to learn how to first to study it and then to learn how to go from studying to like actually applying it and making mistakes with it and then building up knowledges and then increasing. So I think it's a thing that we both learn to do now because we're still pretty young. We learn to do a lot of different things, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, I mean, sometimes, bro, things in life is just common sense. Like, if you even ask someone young, they might not come up with this, but if you tell them, okay, you explain a fictitious situation, but going back to the point of like, should you put all your eggs in one basket or should you do a little test, like you're saying? And everyone's going to be like, yeah, just do it. Do a little test or a little part, because if you fail, you don't mess everything up. So I think sometimes we miss these simple things, and this thing you explain, bro, it applies to so many things. It applies to economics. That's where I learned a lot of like diversifying, blah blah blah. Also marketing, bro. Even like hyper specifics, like when you do an ad, for example, you need to test. Like you don't put all your money in this ad with this photo and this text. You just like completely put your money, different text, different copywriting, images, video, image, whatever. And then you see which one works, and not only actually to avoid mistakes, but to avoid like false positives in a way, meaning like you might do something, and then you put all your money, and then it works, and you're like, yeah, I was right, like I'm the boss, I take the risk.
Yeah, exactly.
But then maybe it wasn't right because of what you thought or the variables you applied. So the next time you do that shit again because you're like, oh yeah, that worked, and then it doesn't work. So when you can do like little parts, or even in business, I was listening about like it's a podcast like the minimum viable business or something like that. It's like trying to make a business that makes money as cheap as possible. So just trying to find sort of like a multiplier of money. Not a business that is going to create like you put a lot of money and creates loads of money, but maybe you put like 2,000, but it can make you 1,000 more. So you're like, okay, I have this control with these variables. when I put 2,000, this made me 1,000 more. So I have 3. So let's put more money and improve it a little bit. So put a bit of my resources and see if it multiplies even more or less. So it's like super, that's like super smart. I'm sure it has a name. These kind of, all these processes have names.